Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Xavier Smith, and today I'm going to be talking about the circulatory slash cardiovascular system, which is basically about the heart and like blood vessels. So let's just start. This is going to be a quick whiteboard thing. So we're going to talk about our different types of circulation. There's systemic circulation, which delivers blood to all body cells and carries away waste. So it is red blood cells coming from the heart, being pumped through the heart to the body. It is oxygenated. So while this red blood cells goes throughout the body, it's dropping off oxygen through diffusion to all the cells that need it, and then also picking up waste with it, and then going to take it through like all our filtration systems and then back to the heart. So then pulmonary circulation eliminates carbon dioxide and oxygenates blood. So systemic circulations, when we're going around, we're dropping off oxygen, picking up a waste, but when we're dropping off oxygen, there's also carbon dioxide diffusing into that blood, the blood cells. So what we have to do is we have to take this blood that has waste in it. Well, the waste is gone by now if it got to the lungs, but that'd be gone through our filtration systems. But we still have carbon dioxide in these red blood cells. So what we're going to do is we are going to pump them to the lungs where oxygen, which we're breathing in, can just diffuse into the red blood cells. That comes back to the heart, and then it gets sent out to the body again. So let's look at a diagram. I put a couple things together. So we have our heart here. First, I'll go over the parts. Imagine when you're looking at this heart that this side that looks on your left is actually your right. So imagine you're in the heart. Like this side of the heart will be the right side of my heart. And then this left side over here is the left side of my heart. So imagine your left and rights are flipped while you're looking at it. So one over here is the right atrium. The heart is divided into 4 chambers, which are the right and left atrium and the right and left ventricle. The atriums take in blood and then either send those, they take in blood and then they send them down to the ventricles, and the ventricles are really what pump the blood. They pump them to the lungs or they pump it throughout the body. So that's good. We got the 4 chambers out of the way. There's animals that have 3-chamber hearts, like some amphibians, but they get like mixed of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, and that's just not ideal for people that need, for organisms that need to do a lot of work. It's just not efficient. And then there's 2-chambered hearts, which are used by like fish. They just have, there's their atrium and their ventricle, and all they do is they send blood through their gills, and then that blood goes throughout the body and then gets back to the atrium and goes back to the ventricle. But it's really inefficient. So we have our right atrium, our right ventricle, our left atrium, our left ventricle. Up here at 5, we have a pulmonary artery, which means it's just sending blood to pulmonary, means like lungs, like relating to lungs. So it's sending blood to the lungs. And then there's 6, the aorta. That is the largest blood vessel, artery we have in our body. The aorta is what takes the blood from the heart and sends it throughout the body. Then we have the superior vena cava, which is over here on 7. That's just taking in blood and giving it back to the heart, giving it back to these atriums. And then we have the 8, the inferior vena cava, which is on the bottom of the superior vena cava, and it also just takes in blood. So superior is on top, inferior is below. Then we have 9, our pulmonary vein, which goes across the heart, and of course, that's taking blood relating to the lungs. So what do? Well, we take blood. First, we'll start just giving out to the body. So we give blood out to the body using the aorta. Then, from the aorta, we are going to take that blood throughout the body. It's going to drop off its oxygen. It's going to pick up waste and carbon dioxide. And then it'll come back to the heart, come back to our atrium, go to a ventricle, and then it'll be sent to the lungs to get the carbon dioxide out and to get oxygen back in the blood. Then from the lungs, it'll come back to the heart and then get sent out again to the body. So what that looks like is our pathway is the left ventricle, then it goes down, then it goes to the aorta, then it's out to the body into the vena cavas, the superior or the inferior. Then there's the right atrium, which the atrium's taken the blood, and then the right ventricle, which pumps the blood. Then it gets sent to the pulmonary trunk, which is basically just what sends the blood to the lungs. And then it goes to the lungs. And then we have the pulmonary veins, which are taking the blood back to the heart, because vein means like taking back to the heart, and artery means taking away from the heart. And then left atrium, so it goes back to the left atrium, and then back to the left ventricle, and then again it'll go to aorta, body, and it just keeps cycling over and over again. So we got a lot done. Now we have one more whiteboard. So arteries take oxygenated blood away from the heart. So if you ever see anything with artery in the name, it's taking oxygenated blood and throwing it away from the heart, giving it to the body usually. And then veins take deoxygenated blood towards the heart. So after this blood has been put to the body, right, put to the ends of our toes, the veins start taking them back with all their waste materials and carbon dioxide, and then take that back to the heart, pump to the lungs, and then it's back to arteries again. So now I'm going to talk about just the contraction of the heart real quick, because this could be important. The sinoatrial, or also known as the SA node, is also called a pacemaker. It generates a rhythmic impulse which spreads from the atrium to the ventricle. So basically, it's at the top of the atrium, and then it just goes down to the bottom of the ventricle. Then it like shoots apart in different ways, and it signals, oh, ventricle, contract. And then ventricle releases, blood sent out, and then it does that. And it's like 80 times a second. So that thump, thump sound, where it's like, where you have two beats to your heart, that's really, oh, so your atrium contracts, and then your ventricle contracts, and it's two contractions. So systole is the contraction of a heart chamber, and then diastole is the relaxation of a chamber of the heart. So you'd say, okay, sinoatrial node says atrium first, contract. So systole of the atrium, it'll just be, and then that electrical charge travels down to the ventricles, goes apart, and it says, okay, ventricle, contract. So it'll give you your double beat. Then an ECG, which is an electrocardiogram, is a recording of electrical events during a cardiac cycle. So that's basically saying, okay, this is what your heartbeat looks like electrical activity wise, starting with the SA node and then ending with like full relaxations. So we have this thing called a P wave, where it just goes down and then up right before the P wave, the electrical events, and that is the contraction, the systole, the contraction of the atrium. And then our QRS complex, after P goes down, then it shoots up and down to S. I'm guessing, oh, ventricle. That once that electrical charge hits the bottom of the ventricle, ventricles are bigger than the atrium. They just shoot out. All the electrical charges shoot out and says ventricle contract. It's a ton of muscles. Everything's working. So I'm guessing that's what that is. QRS complex is our ventricular contraction, or our systole of the ventricles. Then we have a T wave over here right at the end, and that's repolarization of the ventricles. So it's basically they're relaxing. There's no more like electrical charge shooting through them. So please let me know if you have more questions on things like, there's like the sac covering the heart. If you need to know what that is, just please comment and let me know. Thank you for watching.